Welcome to part 2. Now, if I accomplished anything at all in part 1, it's the fact that I pissed off a lot of upstarts and young DJs. And I just want to say, guys, don't get so defensive with me. I still love you, I still want to help you, and I will continue to help you. But keep in mind that I am a tutor. Now, maybe some of you are tutors. Maybe in science class, you sit next to Dave. You and Dave both got a lecture from the teacher today. You're both attending the same class, but Dave doesn't quite get it. So you talk to Dave, you put a little different spin on what the teacher talked about, and all of a sudden a light goes off in Dave's head and he says, hey, I get it now. You just tutored Dave. That's what I do. I'm not the teacher in front of the class. I'm the tutor. And what you need to do is attend the class before you get the tutoring. So here's my suggestion for a lot of you young DJs out there and a lot of you upstarts. Spend less time talking and more time listening. I'll give you the perfect example of this. I took Roller God, or Michael, out to a gig last spring, and it was a kind of a weird gig. It was really hard to get the crowd motivated. I was not in a great position as far as the setup went. There were some obstacles to overcome. And as some of you DJs know who take other DJs with you or train, it's always harder to do a gig when you're training somebody than it is just to go out and do the gig. You're almost doing double duty. It's more work with somebody else, believe it or not. Michael did not want to talk about the gig. He didn't want to talk about the obstacles or the music selection or maybe what we could do to pump things up a little bit. Michael wanted to talk about CDJs, LED lighting, DMX controlling, why companies sell what they sell, why they price the way they price things, anything and everything except the gig. And Michael, it was my pleasure to take you out. I'll take you out again sometime, but next time, shh, listen, pay attention, and concentrate on what's really happening. In the video response and comment section of the Why Are So Many DJs Broke video, the number 3 thing that came up quite often was advertising. A lot of you had some really great ideas on how to promote your services. One of those things was wedding shows. Going to wedding shows and how to properly market yourself at a wedding show. Another thing was networking. Networking with other DJs, banquet managers, photographers, making business cards, passing those out. Lots of really great valid points, but I don't want to get into any of that yet. And I'll tell you why. Before we market or sell a service to the public, we first need to have a product to sell. And a lot of you were saying, Brian, what are you talking about? You're a whack shop. We're mobile DJs. We're out there every weekend. We've got the PA. We've got the music collection. We've got the lighting. We've got the experience. Let's just sell this. Well, here, check it out. Think back to, I don't know, the early 90s when a lot of us old dogs were DJing with CDs. And let's say the bride wanted to hear a song by the Pretenders for her first song of the night. So what do? You didn't download anything. There was no such thing. You had to go to record shops and try to find this Pretenders track. You had to look on all the Pretenders CDs to see if it was on, which disc it was on. Maybe it wasn't on any of the discs. So you had to start asking the clerk, hey, have you ever heard of this song? Where might I find it? Then the clerk had to open up the catalog and say, oh yeah, it's an import. It wasn't released in the US, and it's on this CD compilation. It's $30. I can have it in a week or 2. That was the reality of it, and we had to do it. So our big advantage when we would advertise, we would say, hey, we've got over 10,000 titles available at our DJ service. What does that really mean these days? Not much. Because the young upstart, who I still love and still support, and I still want them to practice and enjoy, have a good music selection on a hard drive somewhere. Of not 10,000 tracks, but 50,000 tracks. And quite frankly, the bride and groom could also download these songs for 89 cents a piece off of Amazon.com or Walmart.com and put together a pretty nice selection of music for their wedding. So our music collection is no longer as important as it used to be. It's still important, but it doesn't have that bang when you're advertising, so we can't talk about over 10,000 titles. Who cares? Some kid's got that on his iPod. The game has changed significantly. We can't talk about that kind of stuff anymore. We've got to talk about brand new stuff. What kind of brand new stuff? Here we go. So the new game, it's value and customer service. That's how I'm seeing it anyway. Now I attend a lot of these big DJ expos all over the place, and I'm about to go to BPM. Now, what a lot of people may not realize is that when I'm at these shows, most of the time, I'm listening. I'm out smoking a cigarette outside, and the DJs who smoke are coming out, and they're smoking too, and we're talking. And I'm learning so much from them. I'm spending most of my time listening, and not so much of my time talking. And I'm learning. Now, sometimes it takes me a long time to learn things, because if my brain was a computer, I could say this about my computer. I got a big hard drive up here. You could store a lot of information in this hard drive. But the problem with my computer is my processor is really crap. It's like a garbage processor from the 80s. It takes a long time to upload information. And once that information is uploaded, it takes even longer to process that information and interpret that information, which I'm very guilty of. I'm a little slow sometimes. Alan Robb has been telling me for the last year how important it is for him to meet with his clients. Now what he does is, and I think it's a good idea, but what he does is he meets his clients at a Starbucks and he talks to them about their event. He meets them to sell the event, and then he meets them again to talk about their event and to find out what their needs are and what their wants are. And I'm thinking to myself, Al, you know, that's a beautiful thing. That's some seriously personalized service. But why is that any different than what I can do over the telephone or via email? And I left it at that. And then I met Jay Brannon, who I love you. I love you, Jay. Jay put a different spin on it for me. What Jay does is he meets his clients at the banquet facility. And he does a walkthrough of the banquet hall. And he consults with them on the floor plan. Now, why is this important? Well, I'm going to show you a couple clips from some gig logs that I did this past summer. Here's our room. It's quite impressive. Dome ceilings. And yet another completely stupid setup. Look at that. And there I am set up behind that table. Here's my dance. Now, this setup where I am set up in front of tables and I am several feet away from the dance floor, the name of the setup is the RETARD. And here, I'll spell that for you. Kind of put a little French accent on that. It's the RETARD setup. Now, both of those floor plans were terrible. Now, you would think that the food and beverage manager or the banquet facilities manager or somebody there would have looked at this floor plan and said, you know what? This floor plan is a disaster. This is not going to be a very successful event. But apparently they don't. They're interested in food and beverage because that's what they sell. They're not so interested in the DJ. He's very much an afterthought. So that's why these consults are so incredibly important. If I would have been closer to the dance floor at either one of these events, it would have maximized my value. I would have been able to put on a better show and done a better performance because I would have been able to interact with the crowd better. My light show would have looked better on the dance floor if I would have done a simple consult. So Jay does this, and it's brilliant. The other thing Jay does that I think is really cool is he goes around the banquet facility with an LED par can. And he plugs it in here and there, tries different things, and just shows the client, hey, doesn't this look cool? Hey, look at this. This looks beautiful lit up in green. Let's try it in more of a maroon color. What he's doing is he's selling on the back end or upselling his services. After he's already sold his services, and we'll get into how he sells his services or how maybe I think you should sell your services in a little while, he sells more product on the back end, which is what we did in the car business all the time. You've already bought the car, now buy the rust protection package. Now buy the floor mats. Now buy the upgraded stereo system. All that kind of neat stuff. Ultimately, what this is going to do, folks, is going to separate you, the good DJ who knows what he's doing and knows how to consult, from the iPod guy, from the young DJ with the music collection, from the less experienced DJs. It's going to give you an advantage. And when you have an advantage, guess what you can do? You can charge even more than you're charging now. See you in part 3. Practice and enjoy.